Hi guys, it's nice to be back. So this is a video about my top 5 favourite sort of watercolours or art supply type things in gold. So I did a video about my top favourite gold watercolours maybe a couple of years ago now, and I wanted to update it and I got a question about this the other day, so I thought it'd be a good video to do to update you and kind of show you what's still working for me. So the first thing, and I've gone through about 5 or 6 bottles of this, is the Windsor & Newton Gold Drawing Ink. I absolutely love this stuff. It is so easy to use. You can see you got to shake it up there to get the gold to move around, but I really love using this in all my journaling or art journaling pages. And so the question kind of was, do I still think that those are the best gold, watercolors or art supplies? And I'm just going to show you how I use, because I do still think they're the best, and I have kind of a couple of other things that I use now as well. So I'm going to show you kind of how I started using them, how I still use them, what kind of things I do with them, and just kind of share with you my tried and true ways that I use them. So, and also so you can see the differences and what might work for you. So first of all, with this ink, you can see here that I love to write with it. So on all of my pages, I like to finish with a pop of gold and just some kind of lettering or the date. There was a little bit of gold fleck in the middle of the poppies on that page as well. So the first way is writing that I like to use it. The second way is to kind of use it in these frames, and I've been trying to sort of create these ornate frames, and I like to use the gold, and again it's with the dip pen. So I have a blog post on my blog with all my favorite supplies, and it shows where I get my dip pens and which nibs I like and everything like that, and I do have a video I think about that as well. So I'm still using that kind of setup, and I really enjoy, and you can see here this is gold marker, so it's not always the Windsor & Newton gold ink, and so that's what I kind of want to show you in this video. But you can see here it's in the middle of the flowers, and then it's I think that might have been marker on top of water or acrylic paint. So you can see here a page in process where I haven't finished a progress, where I haven't finished the page and I haven't put the gold on. And for me, it's not finished until I put the sort of gold emblem or some kind of, date or gold on it. So you can see here I've used the Windsor & Newton ink with the gold marker and kind of created a gold border. So here I have used the Windsor & Newton ink in with watercolors to create kind of a faux marble effect. And I think I do have a video about this as well, but I really enjoyed this process, and this could be something I'd like to just spend a whole day kind of experimenting with that. And then again here we have the gold ink with the dip pen and kind of just an art journaling page I think I did with stamps. And you can see even the papers I used for the cover of that journal. I do have a video of how I put that all together, but you can see there's always gold, somewhere in the makeup of my books or my pages. So I've used again a little bit. I think what I'm doing now is I'm just gonna go through and look for some pages where I have gold on the page, and also some pages. Well, I'm trying to find a page where I can add, because quite a few of these pages still need to be finished off, and so I'm just looking for a page that we can kind of do together, and I can just kind of show you how I finish it off with the gold ink. So this didn't turn out very well exactly how I wanted it, but the concept is something I really want to kind of explore more in the future, and that is doing sort of watercolor and pencil with the gold ink work as well. So even gold washi there, and again I started the page with the gold that time, so it really depends kind of when. Sometimes I put it in at the end, sometimes I start the page with it. So you can see, like in this page, I used it for the emblem, for the writing, as a watercolor, like around the plates, and for the shadows as well. And so I think I've settled on this page, so we're going to just take the dip pen. And again, I have a whole video like on how to get more familiar with this and what to do and what to use and everything. But this is just kind of a little overview of showing you how I use it. So, and I've said this before, I just learned sort of calligraphy and lettering from Instagram, and you can learn it from here on YouTube. And I'm actually going to come out with an alphabet that's done in Illustrator, and so you can kind of practice it if you want to kind of use the alphabet that I kind of use. It's not like Spencerian or one exact script. It's just something that I've kind of curated and created and made my own, but I really like it. So you can see I use it with the dip pen to letter or to draw, but I also like to use it with a what am I saying here? With a paintbrush to paint or to splatter. So to make the ink splatters, and you can see here. So I've used actually my two top favorite golds here. So you can see how they work together on a page. And the ink splatters are the Windsor and Newton, and you can see here again I've used it on this paper, the ledger paper that I aged. And so I do have a video, I was asked this the other day, I do have a video coming out about how I age the ledger paper to make it look like that. It is going to take me a bit longer. I've got to sort of put stuff all over the place, so I might have to go downstairs, or you know, I've got to organize that. So I've got to put down plastic and, you know, drop sheets and kind of stuff like that. So I'll do that as soon as I can. But for now, so you know, probably still take me a couple of weeks. But for now, these are all techniques that you can really enjoy, and they're quite easy to use. So like here, I'm just showing you as well that after I splatter the ink, I usually try and get the excess out of the brush before I rinse the brush off. Okay, so on to my second favorite, and that is the Schmincke Aqua Bronze. So it's a gold pigment, and it's really nice because it's already got all the binders and everything in it. So all you have to do is just wet it, and then you can use it. And I'm going to swatch it next to the other one so you can see this is a pale gold, and the other one's a little bit more of a true gold, like a brassy gold. But I love the colors of each, and they kind of each have their different places, but you can see how beautifully it re-wets and activates, and it's kind of like liquid metallic. Sorry for the awkward brushwork as well. It's kind of a bit tricky trying to manage all this, but what am I trying to say? So I guess my main hesitation with this is that you've got to pour it out, and so you've got to have a plate or a palette or a piece of paper or something extra to use as sort of a mixing space with this. But I was just showing you that page. I have found a way where I like to tip a little bit onto acrylic paint and let it dry. And so you can see here, and I do have a video about that, but you can see here I've used that paint in the emblem and also in all these matryoshkas. And I'm trying to give you as many examples as I can so that you can see, like some of these I've probably shown in other videos, but I want you to be able to see kind of what it's going to look like on the page. And kind of how it can like work with watercolors. You can see here I've used it over the top of pencil and watercolor, and yeah, it is a really beautiful one to use. It's just I don't pull it out as often as I can, just for ease of use basically, but I really do love having the option of it. So the next thing, my third top gold art supply would be this watercolor set. So this is a Schmincke limited edition gold palette, and I'm not sure if they still do it. Sometimes it goes in and out of stock on Jackson's Art, but this might be a color that you can actually get in a tube from Schmincke. I'm not sure, so I'm just going to show you the gold, and let me see what's it called. So it's just called the yellow gold. Schmincke Horadum Aquarelle. So it's actually in presentation, it's almost a little bit like the Windsor Newton gold ink. So I'm not sure if they've used the same gold pigment there. But on this page, I've actually used the three different top three. So I used the Schmincke one for this little sitting room portion, and I like it on the blues because it's a little bit more muted. I used the Windsor Newton ink for lettering, and then on the chair on the pink chair I've used the Schmincke gold one. So you can kind of see them all together there on a page and how they interact differently or work differently with the watercolors. And these I wouldn't probably use more than one of these on a page or on a painting at a time. So I would probably stick to the one of the golds. And the other thing I want to show you so you can see how this just re-wets so quickly and so easily. You just basically touch it and it starts to activate. So you can see there how beautifully it shimmers, and it's like the Winsor Newton gold ink in that regard. And I'm just showing you as well, if you have a gold watercolor, you can actually use that watercolor to, with a dip pen, to write. So you don't necessarily have to have the ink. If you've got a watercolor and a dip pen, you can use a paintbrush to load the dip pen, and then you can write with that. So it's a bit tricky here because I'm trying not to get my hand in the wet watercolor, on the other page. And I've kind of just opened it to this page because this is the page where I swatch things or test things in my journal. So at the back we have the Winsor Newton ink, and then at the front this is the Schmincke gold watercolor. And I think I show you a shot when they're dry, and they're pretty similar. similar looking. The watercolor looks a little bit less sort of gold particly, sort of sparkly when it's applied like that though. So this is kind of this is still number 3, so I'm not using this as an extra gold, but this is just another watercolor and a type of watercolor that I like to use. So this is actually the interference copper, but it would pretty much be the same. I actually wanted the interference gold, but I think this is my sister's, and so I'm just using her one at the minute, but I want to get the interference gold, and it works. So it's, you know, obviously a really slight amount of gold, and it's a really subtle addition on the page or on the painting. But what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you how I like to use it. By mixing it with other colors, you can create really, really gorgeous colors. So I'm just mixing it here. I've put the cobalt violet, that's the Winsor & Newton cobalt violet, on the page. And then here I'm just mixing it with the copper, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So it's still a little bit wet, but I think here you can see it's dry, and just the addition, it's a really subtle addition. If you don't want a full gold on your page, you can use the interference gold from Daniel Smith, or, you know, this copper, which it still sort of gives you that gold sheen with a slight bit of red in it, but you can use that. So I'm using it over the, I did sort of a darker swatch of the cobalt violet, and you can use that on your page just to add that little touch of shimmer, you know, without the full on gold. And so what I'm going to do on this swatch is just show you, this is the Schmincke Aqua Bronze, and then I'm going to do the Winsor & Newton Gold ink as well, just so you can see what they look like over the top of, you know, a watercolor. And again, so none of these are better than the other ones. These are all my favorites. I really like the way they all perform. I would recommend all of them really highly, and just depends what kind of look you want, what, you know, application you're using it for. And so number 4 is a gold marker. I really enjoy using these in my journals. And this one is just the calligraphy one. I think we got this, you know, from a local shop. It's got the broad nib, so it's got like a calligraphy nib. I have seen a video where they were testing out all different kinds of gold markers, and I'm really interested. There was a gold leafing one, a Krylon or something like that, so I'm not sure. There's probably other gold markers that might be better than this one out there, but this one is the one I have, and I do still enjoy, and I would recommend this one. I think that it's getting old, and I think it's sort of losing. I think this is the second actual gold marker that I've been through that's actually lost. You know, I've used the whole marker up, and sort of you can see that the pigment starts to fade a little bit. But I really like this as well, because see, you can use the corner of it, and you can get a super fine line if you don't want to use a really broad thick line, which is really nice. And then you can also then draw with it, and, you know, instead of just doing calligraphy, you can draw with it, and you get the really nice you know, differences in stroke there. So here's one sort of page that I did the other day, and I've used that to write koala and write Australia, and I'm writing that on vellum and then on just ledger paper there. So I really enjoy the way that that looks and the way that it works. I'm not sure if I've ever showed this, but this is a huge moleskin art, and so I've used the gold. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. I used the gold marker on the front cover, and then this is actually the gold Winsor & Newton ink, so the first thing that I showed you. And this is when I started doing frames and started trying to write with it, and I really didn't know anything about calligraphy, so I was just kind of doing some loops at the end of letters and just kind of trying to create something nice there. But this is a page where I have used just a gold marker, so like the calligraphy one that I showed you just then. I'm not sure that it was the same pen. I feel like this one had just more of a probably a 2-point round nib or something like that. Now you can see not all the time I didn't use the gold, in every situation, but I really do. I kind of feel like my page is more finished once I've added something. You can see there that's sort of fading, and I think on this page as well I've tried to use a marker, but it was running out, so the gold didn't shine quite as much. So again, like here's another page I was trying to not use gold and just use paint, and I just feel like I want to put gold all over it and sort of finish it off. And then this again is from that time, and I was writing something for Mother's Day, and this was when I was starting to kind of look at the old French stamps and the old French kind of motives, and try and design based off of those as well. This is just a humongous page, double page spread we did one day to have a tea party, and you can see I've tried to replicate the gold in the large frame at the back of, like, behind the table. There's like supposed to be a gold frame there, but and you can see it here again, not all the time I've used gold, so it's not something that you have to have, it's just something that I really enjoy adding to the page. So the last way that I like to apply gold is through the stamp pad. So I have been using this champagne metallic, so champagne gold metallic stamp pad, and I really love it. So if you've seen any of my previous videos lately, you'll know that I've been using this a lot. So I think before we go, there is one sort of honourable mention that I want to include, and that is gold sealing wax. So I have been really enjoying using sealing wax lately as well, and what I'm going to do here is I'm not even going to use a the actual stamp, the wax seal. I'm just going to use the wax, and I'm going to put it on the page with some I have a couple of little dried hydrangeas here that I just had on my desk, and so I'm just going to show you. You can use the wax and just put dried flowers in that, and it will be really pretty. So sorry, I didn't anticipate this very well, but I like to hold the wax about an inch above the paper so I can kind of guide where I want it to go, and I always like to add an extra little drop somewhere off to the side. And then basically just placing the flowers in there. So you might just have like one flower on a stem, and you just put the stem in there, or a petal in there, and then that's pretty much it. And I think I show you that the petal that's into the wax is really hard, so it's not going to move. If you wanted to back a whole flower with the wax, then it would be really preserved, but the petals that aren't in the wax are still quite frail and fragile. Okay, so that's everything from me, and I'm also sorry, I think you can hear my sister in the background. She's playing PS4 with some guy, and she keeps beating him, and he said he's not sure if he's a man anymore, so it's a pretty funny kind of situation. And So yeah, I apologize if that's in the background, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you hopefully on Thursday with another one. Bye guys.